My son walked into my kitchen like he owned the place. Turns out, he thought he did. I need the keys by tomorrow. He didn't even say hello. Just stood there in his pressed suit, expensive leather shoes clicking on my tile floor. Madison wants to start moving her things in by the weekend. The coffee pot was still brewing. I was still in my robe. It was 7 in the morning. What are you talking about? My hand found the counter, steadying myself against the cold granite. The same counter where I taught him to crack eggs when he was 6. Where we made birthday cakes and rolled out cookie dough every Christmas. The house, Mom. He said it like I was slow, like I was the child. Madison and I need more space. This place is perfect for us. This is my house. No. He pulled out his phone, started scrolling through something. Didn't even look at me. It's not. I watched him pace toward the window. Sunlight caught that ridiculous watch on his wrist, the one Madison bought him last month. Gold, flashy. Nothing like something my son would have wanted before he met her. Before she happened. We've been over this. He continued, still staring at his phone. You're getting older. This place is too big for you. 4 bedrooms for one person? It doesn't make sense. I've lived here for 43 years. Exactly. Don't you think it's time for a change? My coffee mug started trembling in my hand. I set it down before I dropped it. A change. I repeated the words, trying to make them make sense. You want me to just leave? Where exactly do you expect me to go? We'll help you find a nice apartment. Something smaller, easier to manage. Madison's already been looking at places. He finally glanced up from his phone. There's a senior community about 20 minutes from here. They have activities, meal plans. I'm 64 years old, not 90. Mom, be reasonable. Reasonable? My voice cracked. I hated how weak it sounded. You walk into my home at 7 in the morning and tell me I have 24 hours to pack up my entire life and I'm being unreasonable? He sighed. Actually sighed, like I was the inconvenience. This doesn't have to be difficult. He moved to the counter, standing directly across from me, close enough that I could see how much he'd changed. The lines around his mouth that hadn't been there a year ago. The cold look in his eyes, the same look his father had toward the end. I should have seen this coming. Where's Madison? I asked. Why isn't she here for this conversation? She thought it would be better if I talked to you alone, mother to son. How thoughtful of her. Don't start, Mom. Don't start what? Asking why my daughter-in-law wants to throw me out of my own house? Nobody's throwing you. He stopped. Took a breath. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter. Colder. You don't understand. This isn't just about what we want. It's about what's legal. My stomach dropped. Legal? He reached into his jacket pocket, pulled out a manila envelope. Thick, official-looking, the kind that changes everything. He slid it across the counter. It sat there between us like a weapon. What is this? My hands wouldn't move to pick it up. Just open it. I stared at the envelope. At my son, at the house keys hanging on their hook by the door, the same keys I'd carried for 4 decades. Open it, Mom. My fingers felt numb as I picked up the envelope, tore it open. Inside were papers, legal documents with fancy letterhead and too many words. But I saw the important ones. Quit claim deed. Transfer of property. And there, at the bottom of the page, a signature I'd recognize anywhere. My husband's. No. The word came out as a whisper. Dad signed the house over to me 3 months before he died. My son's voice was flat, matter of fact, like he was reading a grocery list. His lawyer has copies, it's all legal. The house became mine the moment he passed. That's not possible. It's right there in black and white. Your father wouldn't. But he did. He tapped the paper. You've been living here on borrowed time. I've let it go for 2 years out of respect, but Madison and I are starting our lives together. We need this space. The room started spinning. 2 years. I'd been grieving my husband for 2 years, thinking I at least had our home, our memories, the life we built. And it was never mine. Why? My voice broke. Why would he do this? My son's reflection stared back at me from the kitchen window. Cold, distant, a stranger wearing my boy's face. I guess you'll have to ask him. He checked his watch, that expensive, flashy watch. I have a meeting downtown. Madison will be by tomorrow morning at 9 to get the keys. Please have them ready. He turned to leave. And Mom? He paused at the doorway. Pack only what you need. We're redecorating. The door closed behind him. I stood alone in my kitchen, holding papers that said I'd never really owned anything at all. Outside, I heard his car start, watched through the window as he backed out of the driveway without looking back. My coffee had gone cold. My hands had stopped shaking. And somewhere in the back of my mind, a voice whispered, "This isn't over." I looked down at the papers again, at my husband's signature. Something wasn't right. The date said 3 months before he died. But 3 months before he died, his hands were so weak from the cancer treatments he could barely hold a pen. I'd had to sign his name on the hospital forms. I picked up my phone. Time to call in a favor. I couldn't breathe. The signature stared up at me from the page, mocking me with its familiarity. My husband's handwriting. His name. Right there in black ink, signing away everything we'd built together. I called Linda before I could talk myself out of it. Linda Chen had been my friend since college, back when we were both young and stupid and thought we'd change the world. She became a lawyer. I became a wife. But she still took my calls, even at 8 in the morning when I could barely get the words out. "I need you to look at something." "Are you okay? You sound... Can you come over? Please?" She was at my door within the hour. I'd made fresh coffee, set out 2 mugs, tried to pretend my hands weren't shaking as I poured. Linda took off her coat, draped it over the chair, and I noticed she was still in her gym clothes. She'd left her morning workout to come here. "For me." "Talk to me," she said. I slid the envelope across the kitchen table. She pulled out the papers, put on her reading glasses, the tortoiseshell ones she hated because they made her look old. Started reading. I watched her face. Watched it go from curious to confused to something worse. Concerned. "This is dated." She flipped through the pages. 3 months before he passed. "That's what it says. And you never knew about this?" I didn't even know it was possible. I wrapped my hands around my coffee mug, needing the warmth. Can he do that? Can he just sign away our house without telling me? Linda's mouth pressed into a thin line. She kept reading. Behind her, I could see our wedding photo on the mantel. Young faces. Happy. We'd been married at City Hall because we couldn't afford anything fancy. Honeymoon was a weekend at his parents' cabin. We said we'd build something together. 43 years later, he'd torn it down with one signature. "Linda? I'm looking." She pulled out her phone, started typing. Probably checking legal databases or whatever lawyers do when your world falls apart. I stood up. Couldn't sit still anymore. Walked to the window. The same window where my son had stood this morning, sunlight catching that stupid watch. He spent so much time in his office those last few months. I said quietly. Him and our son. Door always closed. I thought they were just, I don't know, bonding, father-son stuff. Did he say anything? Give any indication he was planning this? He barely talked to me at all by the end. The admission hurt. He was so distant. I thought it was the cancer, the pain, the treatments making him foggy. But maybe it was something else. Linda set down the papers, took off her glasses, rubbed her eyes. That's when I knew. It's legal, isn't it? I'm sorry. She looked up at me, and I saw pity in her eyes. Hated it. It's a quit-claim deed, perfectly legal. If he owned the property, we both did. Joint tenancy. Then he had the right to transfer his interest. And once he passed, the house became your son's property. You had life estate rights, which means you could stay here, but those can be contested or bought out. And, English, Linda, please. She sighed. The house is your son's, legally. There's nothing you can do. The room tilted. I grabbed the counter. There has to be something. This is my home. I know. I raised my son here. I took care of my husband here. My voice cracked. This is all I have left of him. I'm so sorry. I turned back to the window, watched a bird land on the feeder I'd put up last spring, watched it peck at seeds, completely unaware that the world was ending inside this house. Why would he do this? I whispered. Why wouldn't he tell me? Linda didn't answer. Probably because there was no good answer. I heard papers rustling behind me. Linda was still looking through the envelope. Wait. Something in her voice made me turn around. She was holding another document, smaller, different letterhead. What is it? Her face had gone pale. There's something else here. She looked up at me, and I saw something new in her eyes. Fear. What? I moved closer. Linda, what is it? A life insurance policy. Her voice was barely a whisper, dated the same day as the deed. My heart stopped. How much? 500,000. The number hung in the air between us. $500,000. And the beneficiary? I already knew. Somehow, I already knew. Linda's hands were shaking now, too. Your son. Only your son. She set the paper down carefully, like it might explode. You're not listed anywhere. It's like you didn't exist. I stared at the document. At my husband's signature. Again. And again. First, the house. Now this. He cut me out, I said slowly. Completely. It looks that way. But why? What did I stopped. Thought about those closed-door meetings, the whispered conversations that stopped when I walked into a room, unless he didn't do it alone. Linda met my eyes. We both knew who I was talking about. Your son wouldn't. My son just gave me 24 hours to get out of my house. My voice was ice now. My son, who suddenly needs this specific property. My son, who's been married 6 months to a woman I barely know. You think he influenced? I think my husband was dying and vulnerable, and someone took advantage. I picked up the insurance policy, studied it. 500,000 reasons to convince a dying man to sign papers. That's a serious accusation. Is it? Or is it just the truth? Linda stood up, started gathering the papers, organizing them back into the envelope. What are you doing? I asked. Making copies. Lots of copies. She looked at me with something new in her eyes, not pity anymore. Determination. Because if someone manipulated your husband while he was dying, that's fraud. And fraud makes these documents worthless. Can you prove it? I don't know yet. But I'm going to try. She grabbed her coat. Don't sign anything. Don't agree to anything. And whatever you do. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it. Frowned. What? Text from my office. Apparently your son's lawyer just called. He wants to schedule a formal transfer of property. Day after tomorrow. That fast? He's not wasting time. Linda shoved her phone in her pocket, which means neither can we. She headed for the door, then stopped. One more thing. That life insurance policy? Check the date it was issued versus the date it was signed. Why? Because I don't think your husband's signature is the only thing wrong with these papers. She left. I stood alone in my kitchen, surrounded by documents that said I'd been erased from my own life. Outside, the bird flew away from the feeder. I looked at the insurance policy again. Date issued, March 15th. Date signed, March 15th. Same day. My husband died April 3rd, which meant he signed away everything, house, money, all of it, exactly 19 days before he took his last breath. 19 days when he could barely get out of bed. 19 days when I was at the hospital with him every single day, except one. I grabbed my phone, pulled up my calendar from 2 years ago. There, March 15th. The day I'd driven 3 hours to see my sister who'd just had surgery. The day my son offered to stay with his father. The day I'd come home to find them both in the office, my husband exhausted, my son packing up papers. Just some financial stuff, he'd said. Nothing to worry about. I'd believed him. God help me. I'd believed him. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Stop digging, a woman's voice. Young, cold. Or you'll lose more than just the house. The line went dead. I looked at the papers spread across my table. At the house keys, still hanging by the door. At the wedding photo on the mantel. Then I smiled. Because whoever thought a dead husband's signature and a threatening phone call would make me walk away had no idea who they were dealing with. I'd been a doormat long enough. Time to burn the whole house down. The moving truck arrived at 8:45. 15 minutes early. I watched from my bedroom window as it backed into my driveway, beeping loud enough to wake the entire neighborhood. The company logo on the side was expensive looking. Premium movers for premium people. Madison stepped out of a white BMW right behind it. Of course, she drove a BMW. She was wearing yoga pants and an oversized sweater that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. Hair in a perfect ponytail. Sunglasses even though it was cloudy. She looked like she was going to brunch, not ruining someone's life. My son's car pulled up next. He got out slowly, didn't look at the house, kept his eyes on his phone like it was the most interesting thing in the world. Coward. I walked downstairs. Each step felt heavier than the last. By the time I reached the front door, Madison was already inside. "Oh, good, you're up." She breezed past me into the living room, tablet in hand. Didn't ask permission, didn't knock, just walked in like she owned the place. Which, legally, she kind of did. "We have so much to do today." She started taking photos of my furniture. Click, click, click. "Most of this will have to go, obviously. The couch is very dated. That couch is 8 years old." "Exactly." She smiled. Didn't reach her eyes. "We're thinking more modern, minimalist. The house has such good bones, but the decor is really holding it back." My son appeared in the doorway. Still wouldn't look at me. "Daniel, where should the movers start?" Madison asked. "Maybe He finally glanced up, saw my face, looked away. "The guest room?" "Perfect." Madison headed for the stairs. "Come on, I'll show you the space." 2 large men in matching uniforms followed her up. I heard doors opening, footsteps in rooms that weren't hers. "You could have called first," I said to my son. Madison wanted to get started early, get a sense of the space. "Get a sense?" I laughed. It came out harsh. "She's measuring my living room like she's shopping for curtains." "Mom, where exactly am I supposed to go while she's redecorating my life?" He finally looked at me. Really looked at me. For a second, I thought I saw something. Guilt maybe. Regret. Then Madison's voice floated down from upstairs. "Babe, come look at this bathroom. The tile is so tragic." And just like that, he was gone again. "I'll be right there." He started toward the stairs, then paused. "We set aside some boxes for you, in the garage, for your personal things." How generous. "Mom, please don't make this harder than it needs to be." He disappeared upstairs. I stood alone in my living room, listening to strangers walk through my memories. The movers came down carrying my mother's china cabinet, the one she'd given me when I got married, the one I was supposed to pass down. "Careful with that," I called out. One of them grunted acknowledgement. They carried it out the door like it was nothing. Madison appeared at the top of the stairs. "Oh, don't worry about the furniture. We're donating most of it. Tax write-off." That cabinet was my mother's. Was it? She tilted her head, studying me like I was a problem to solve. "Well, I'm sure she'd want you to have the memories, not the clutter. That's what my therapist always says. Let go of the physical to make room for the spiritual." I wanted to throw something at her perfect ponytail. Instead, I walked to the kitchen, poured myself coffee, watched through the window as my mother's cabinet was loaded into the truck. Madison followed me. Of course she did. "I've been meaning to talk to you about the garden," she said, pulling up something on her tablet. "We're thinking a pool would be perfect here. Really open up the backyard. I planted that garden 30 years ago, and I'm sure it was lovely. But pools add so much value. Plus, Daniel and I want to start a family soon, and kids love pools." A family. In my house. In my garden. "What about my sewing room?" I asked, even though I didn't want to know. "Oh," her face lit up. "That's going to be my yoga studio. I already found the perfect instructor for private sessions. She's amazing. She trained in Bali." "Of course she did." Madison's smile tightened. "I know this is an adjustment, But you have to admit, you've been living in the past. This house is too big for one person. You'll be so much happier in a smaller space. You don't know anything about my happiness. I know that holding on to things that are gone isn't healthy. She set down her tablet, leaned against my counter. Daniel told me about your husband. I'm sorry for your loss, but he's been gone 2 years now. At some point, you have to move forward. The audacity. Did my son tell you that he gave me 24 hours to pack up 43 years of my life? He said you were resistant to change. Resistant to. I stopped, took a breath. Where is he? Upstairs, measuring the master bedroom. We're thinking of knocking down a wall, creating a walk-in closet situation. My bedroom. The room where I'd slept next to my husband for 4 decades, where I'd held him during nightmares, where he'd died. She wanted to knock down walls. I set down my coffee mug before I broke it. I need some air. Of course. Take your time. We'll be here all day. Madison picked up her tablet again, already moving on. Oh, and there are some papers on the counter. Transfer of utilities, forwarding address form, just standard stuff. If you could fill those out before you go, that would be super helpful. I looked at the papers. Official forms, my signature line highlighted in yellow. I haven't agreed to leave yet. Madison's smile never wavered. Oh, honey, you don't really have a choice. She walked away, calling up to my son about paint colors. I stood in my kitchen surrounded by strangers packing up my life. Through the window, I saw more furniture being loaded. My reading chair, the bookshelf my husband built, the small table where we'd eaten breakfast every morning for 20 years. All of it, disappearing into that truck. I walked outside, needed to breathe. The movers were taking a break, drinking water by the truck. Madison was on her phone near her car, laughing about something. That's when I saw it. She reached into her designer purse, careful, quick, like she didn't want anyone to notice. Pulled out a small key. Silver. Old-fashioned, with a red tag. I knew that key. It was from my husband's desk, the one to his safety deposit box at the bank. The one I'd searched for after he died and never found. The one that was supposed to be mine. Madison slipped it back into her purse, still laughing into her phone. No, I'm serious, she was saying. The place is a gold mine. You should see the stuff she's hoarding. My hands clenched into fists. She had the key, which meant she'd been in my house before, in my husband's office, going through his things. How long had she been planning this? Madison ended her call, saw me staring. Everything okay? She asked brightly. Where did you get that key? What key? The one you just put in your purse, from my husband's desk. Her smile flickered. Just for a second. I have no idea what you're talking about. Silver key, red tag, safety deposit box at First National Bank. Oh, she laughed. That old thing? Daniel gave it to me. Said you didn't need it anymore. Daniel didn't have that key. Well, obviously he did. She adjusted her sunglasses. Anyway, I really need to get back inside. So much to do. She started walking toward the house. What's in the box? I called after her. She stopped, turned around slowly. Excuse me? The safety deposit box. What's in it? I wouldn't know. I haven't opened it. Then why do you have the key? For safekeeping. Her voice had an edge now. The sweet act was slipping. Daniel thought it was better if I held on to it. You know, since you're moving and all. Wouldn't want you to lose it in the chaos. How thoughtful. We stared at each other across my driveway. 2 women. 1 house. 1 key that meant everything. You should probably start packing, Madison said quietly. The movers will need your bedroom cleared by this afternoon. She walked inside. I stood there, watching the door close behind her. My son appeared in the upstairs window, saw me, looked away. The moving truck engine started up, first load heading out. I pulled out my phone, called Linda. I need you to meet me at First National Bank, I said when she answered. Right now. What's going on? Madison has a key to my husband's safety deposit box. Silence. Linda? How long has she had it? I don't know, but she's had access to his office, his papers, everything. I'm leaving now. Meet you there in 20 minutes. I hung up. Looked back at my house, at Madison's BMW in my driveway, at my son's car parked like he lived here, at the moving truck pulling away with my mother's china cabinet. My phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. One sentence. You're making a mistake. I deleted it. Then I got in my car and drove to the bank, leaving Madison to measure my life like it was hers to redesign. She wanted my house? Fine. But she wasn't getting what was in that box. Not without a fight. I was sitting in my car outside the bank when someone tapped on my window. I jumped, nearly dropped my phone. It was Dorothy from next door, 72 years old, widow, always baking something. She was holding a casserole dish covered in foil. I rolled down the window. I saw the moving truck, she said. No preamble, no small talk. What's happening? Dorothy, I can't really. Are they making you leave? The way she said it, like she already knew. It's complicated. No, it's not. She glanced around the parking lot, then back at me. Can I get in? I unlocked the passenger door. She settled in with the casserole on her lap. It smelled like chicken and vegetables. Comfort food, the kind you bring to funerals and disasters. I should have come sooner, she said quietly. I should have said something months ago. My stomach dropped. Said what? She stared straight ahead, fingers gripping the dish. 6 months before your husband died, I saw him at the corner cafe downtown, that little place on 5th Street. Okay. He was with your son, and a blonde woman. The air left my lungs. Madison. Dorothy nodded. I didn't know her name then, but yes, her. They were sitting at a corner table, all three of them. Papers spread out, laptops, very serious, very businesslike. When exactly was this? September. I remember because it was right after Labor Day. I was meeting my book club. She finally looked at me. I thought they were planning the wedding. You know, father and son, including the bride. It seemed sweet. What were they doing? Talking, looking at documents. The woman Madison, she kept pointing at things. Very animated. Your husband looked tired. Your son kept nodding, agreeing with whatever she said. How long were they there? At least an hour, maybe more. I left before they did. Dorothy's voice got quieter. I almost came to tell you, but I thought it was none of my business. Family stuff. I closed my eyes. September. That was when my husband started getting sicker, when the treatments stopped working, when he started spending all his time in his office with the door locked, when everything changed. There's more, Dorothy said. Of course there was. The next week, I saw them again. Same cafe, same table. But this time, there was another man. Older, suit and tie, professional looking. A lawyer? That would be my guess. She shifted the casserole. I saw them 3 times total. Always the same group, always very focused. And your husband, he looked more confused each time. Like he wasn't quite sure what was happening. Why didn't you tell me? I should have. I know I should have. But you were at the hospital so much, and I thought. Her voice cracked. I thought I was seeing something that wasn't there. That I was being paranoid. A nosy old woman reading too much into lunch meetings. I reached over, squeezed her hand. You're not nosy, and you're not old. She laughed wetly. I'm 72 and I spend half my day watching the neighborhood. I'm the definition of both. A car pulled into the parking lot. Linda's sedan. She spotted us, frowned, then parked nearby. That's my lawyer, I said. We're about to... The safety deposit box. I stared at her. How did you know about that? Dorothy's face went pale. Because there's something else, something I really should have told you 2 years ago. My heart started pounding. What? The day before your husband died. You were at the hospital with him. I remember because you'd been there 3 days straight. She took a shaky breath. I saw Madison leaving your house. The world tilted. That's not possible. Nobody had a key except me, and your son was with her. They parked around the block, walked up like they didn't want to be seen. They were inside maybe 20 minutes. When they came out, Madison was carrying a box. What kind of box? Small, wooden, dark cherry wood with brass hinges. I recognized it because I'd seen it in your husband's study. On his desk. You showed it to me once, said it was where he kept important papers. The room was spinning. That box. I knew exactly which one she meant. My husband's document box, the one he'd had since before we were married. Birth certificate, social security card, passwords, bank information. Everything important. Everything private. She took it, I whispered. I'm so sorry. Dorothy was crying now. I should have called you right then, should have called the police. But your son was with her, and I thought he had permission, that maybe you'd asked him to get something for you. I never asked him for anything. I know that now. Linda knocked on my window. I motioned for her to get in the back. She slid in, looked at Dorothy, then at me. What's going on? Madison was in my house the day before my husband died. She took his document box, his personal papers. Did you report it? I didn't know about it until just now. Linda's jaw tightened. That's breaking and entering. Theft. Even if your son let her in. There's more. I turned to Dorothy. Tell her about the cafe. Dorothy repeated everything. The meetings, the lawyer, my husband's confused face. When she finished, Linda sat back. That's conspiracy, possibly elder abuse, if they coerced him into signing documents while he was mentally compromised. We need to see what's in that safety deposit box, I said. Now. Agreed. Linda opened her door. Dorothy, would you be willing to sign a statement about what you saw? Absolutely. Good. We'll need it. She looked at me. Do you have access to the box? I should. I'm his widow. We had joint access to everything. Then let's go find out what Madison didn't want you to see. We got out of the car. Dorothy handed me the casserole. For later, she said. You need to eat. I hugged her. Thank you. I should have told you sooner. You told me when it mattered. We walked into the bank together. The lobby was quiet, just a few customers at the counter. A young woman at the information desk looked up. Can I help you? I need to access my safety deposit box, I said. Of course. Do you have your key? No. But I'm listed on the account. Joint access with my late husband. I'll need to verify your identity. One moment. She typed something into her computer. Frowned, typed more. Is there a problem? Linda asked. No. Just 1 second. More typing. Then her face changed. Oh, I see. Ma'am, I'm sorry, but there's a note on the account. My stomach dropped. What kind of note? Access was changed 3 months ago. You're no longer listed as an authorized user. The floor disappeared. That's not possible. According to our records, your husband came in and... My husband was dead 3 months ago. The woman's face went white. Excuse me, let me get my manager. She scurried away. Linda gripped my arm. Someone changed the access after he died. Using his identity. Which is fraud. Which means everything else might be fraud too. The manager appeared. 50s, balding, nervous. Mrs. I gave him my name. There seems to be some confusion about your safety deposit box. There's no confusion. Someone used my dead husband's identity to remove me from the account. That's identity theft. We would need to investigate. Investigate quickly, Linda said, handing him her card. I'm her attorney. And if we find out someone at this bank allowed unauthorized access to a deceased person's account, you'll be hearing from more than just me. The manager looked at the card, swallowed hard. Let me pull the paperwork. Please, have a seat. We sat in uncomfortable chairs near a plastic plant. Dorothy kept patting my hand. It's going to be okay, she whispered. But I could see it in Linda's face. It wasn't okay. Not yet. The manager returned with a file folder, sat down across from us. The change was made on. He checked the papers. April 7th, 4 days after your husband's passing. Who authorized it? According to our records, it was. He adjusted his glasses. Your son. He presented a death certificate and documentation showing he was the executor of the estate. I'm the executor of the estate. Silence. The manager's face went from nervous to terrified. There must be some mistake in our records. Who accessed the box? Linda demanded. I can't disclose. You just told us someone committed fraud using a dead man's identity in your bank. You absolutely can disclose. The manager looked at the file, then at me, then back at the file like it might save him. The box was accessed twice after the account change, once on April 8th, once on April 15th. By who? A woman. Madison. He checked the signature. Madison Walker. Now Madison Walker Rodriguez, I believe. The name hung in the air like poison. She took everything, I said softly. Ma'am, I'm so sorry. This appears to be a significant security breach. We'll launch a full investigation. I want to see the box. But if you're not on the crand, my husband is dead. His signature on those forms is fraudulent, which means legally I'm still the account holder. Linda leaned forward. So either you let her access that box right now, or I'm calling the police and the Federal Banking Commission. Your choice. The manager looked like he might pass out. I'll need to call our legal department. You have 5 minutes. He practically ran away. Dorothy squeezed my hand. You're going to get through this. Am I? I looked at her. At Linda. At the bank that had let someone steal my husband's identity. They took everything, the house, the money, and now, whatever was in that box, what's left? The truth, Linda said. And sometimes, that's enough. The manager came back. He looked defeated. Our legal counsel says we should allow access, given the circumstances. Smart counsel, Linda said. We followed him to the vault, down a hallway, through a heavy door, into a room lined with metal, boxes. The manager used his key, then inserted a master key where my husband's key should have been. The box slid out. He set it on a table, then stepped back. I'll give you privacy. He left. The three of us stared at the metal box. You ready? Linda asked. I lifted the lid. The box was empty. Completely empty. Except for one thing. A USB drive. Small, black, with a piece of tape on it. And in my husband's handwriting, for my wife, if anything happens. My hands shook as I picked it up. He knew, I whispered. He knew something was wrong. Linda pulled out her laptop. Let's find out what. But before we could plug it in, Dorothy's phone rang. She answered. Then her face went white. What? I asked. She lowered the phone slowly. That was my daughter. She lives 2 streets over, she says. Dorothy's voice shook. She says there are police cars at your house, and an ambulance. We ran. We made it to my house in 8 minutes. Should have taken 15. Linda drove like she was in an action movie. Dorothy gripped the dashboard. I sat in the back with the USB drive clutched in my fist. Police cars blocked my driveway. 2 of them, lights spinning. The ambulance was parked on the lawn. My lawn. Neighbors stood on sidewalks, phones out, recording, because of course they were. I was out of the car before Linda fully stopped. Ma'am, you need to stay back. A young officer stepped in front of me. This is my house. Ma'am. Let her through. An older officer appeared, salt and pepper hair, tired eyes. You the homeowner? Yes. What happened? There's been an incident. Are you related to a Daniel Rodriguez? My heart stopped. He's my son. The officer's expression shifted, softened. He's being treated in the ambulance. Possible carbon monoxide exposure. What? Gas leak. The movers called it in. They started feeling dizzy, nauseous. One of them passed out. Your son was upstairs, barely conscious when they found him. I pushed past him. The ambulance doors were open. I saw my son on a stretcher, oxygen mask on his face. His skin was gray, eyes closed. Daniel. His eyes fluttered open, focused on me. Mom, he whispered through the mask. An EMT blocked my path. Are you family? I'm his mother. He's stable. Oxygen levels are improving, but we need to take him to the hospital for observation. What about Madison? I looked around. Where's his wife? The EMT and the officer exchanged glances. There was no one else in the house, ma'am. That's not possible. She was here. She's been here all morning. We found your son alone. The movers were outside taking a break. They said the wife left about an hour ago. Left. She left my son to die. Can I talk to him? I asked. The EMT hesitated, then nodded. Keep it brief. We need to transport soon. I climbed into the ambulance, knelt beside the stretcher. My son looked at me, really looked at me. And I saw him again. Not the cold stranger from this morning, not Madison's puppet. My boy. I'm sorry, he whispered. The mask muffled his voice. I'm so sorry, Mom. Shh. Save your strength. No. You need to know. He pulled at the mask. The EMT moved to stop him, but I shook my head. She planned this, all of it, from the beginning. I know. No, you don't. His hand found mine, weak, trembling. It wasn't Dad, the signatures. He never signed anything. The world stopped spinning. What? Ah. She forged them. The deed, the insurance policy, everything. His eyes filled with tears. I helped her. God help me. I helped her. Daniel. She showed me how much money we could make. Said Dad was dying anyway. That you'd be fine, that we'd take care of you. He was crying now. I believed her. I was so stupid. The EMT touched my shoulder. Ma'am, we really need to go. One more minute. I gripped my son's hand. Where is she now? I don't know. She got a phone call about an hour ago. Left in a hurry. Told me to stay here, supervise the movers, make sure everything was cleared out. He laughed bitterly. I should have known. The gas leak wasn't an accident. She tried to kill you. She tried to kill both of us. You were supposed to be here too. His grip tightened. She's been planning this for months. Maybe longer, I think. I think I was next after Dad. After she got everything. He nodded weakly. She has Dad's papers, his passwords, access to everything. His voice was getting fainter. The USB drive. Did you find it? I held it up. Relief flooded his face. Dad made me promise. Before he died, he said, if anything happened, make sure you got that drive. He coughed. The EMT moved in. He knew, Mom. He knew what she was doing. He tried to stop it. We need to go. Now. The EMT was firm this time. I kissed my son's forehead. I'm going to fix this, I told him. I don't deserve. You're my son. That's all that matters. They closed the ambulance doors, lights and sirens, gone. I stood in my driveway, watching it disappear down the street. Linda appeared at my elbow. Did he say what I think he said? The signatures are forged. All of them. Then the house is still yours. And Madison knows we're getting close. Dorothy was on the phone near her car. She hung up, hurried over. My daughter saw Madison leave. About an hour ago, she was carrying a suitcase and a laptop bag. She's running, Linda said. We need to see what's on this drive. I held it up. Now. We went to Linda's car. She opened her laptop on the hood. I plugged in the USB. A folder appeared, one file inside. Video file. Dated 3 days before my husband died. I clicked play. My husband's face filled the screen. He looked terrible. Thin. Gray. Eyes sunken. But alert. Focused. Hi, honey. His voice was weak but clear. If you're watching this, then I'm gone, and things have probably gotten bad. I couldn't breathe. I need you to know something. I never signed over the house. I never changed the insurance. I never cut you out of anything. He coughed. Took a moment to recover. Madison Rodriguez came into our lives 6 months ago. She targeted Daniel at a conference. Real estate investing, she said, promised him we could triple our money. Linda was recording the screen with her phone. At first, it seemed legitimate. She had credentials, references, but then she started asking about the house, about our assets, about my health. He looked directly into the camera. I got suspicious. Hired a private investigator. Her real name is Madison Walker. She's done this before. Twice. 2 previous husbands, both older, both wealthy. Both died under suspicious circumstances. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the laptop steady. She's been forging documents. I found copies in Daniel's car. The quitclaim deed has my signature, but I never signed it. Neither did I sign the insurance policy or the power of attorney she tried to get me to agree to. He paused. Took another labored breath. I confronted her, told her I was going to the police. She said if I did, Daniel would go to prison as an accessory, that she'd make sure of it. Jesus, Dorothy whispered. So I'm making this recording. Evidence, proof. Everything the PI found is in a second folder on this drive. Bank records showing money transfers, background checks. Police reports from her previous husband's deaths. It's all there. He looked tired. So tired. I tried to protect our son, tried to make him see what she was doing, but he's in too deep. He believes her lies. A tear rolled down his cheek. I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry I let this happen. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I thought I could fix it. Thought I could get Daniel away from her before. He trailed off. Just know that I love you. I've always loved you. And everything I have, everything we built together, it's yours. Always has been. Always will be. He reached forward. The screen went black. I stood there, staring at nothing. My husband's voice echoed in my head. He tried to protect us. He died trying to protect us. There's more. Linda was clicking through folders. Police reports, financial records, everything he mentioned. She scrolled quickly. This is enough. This is more than enough to prove fraud. We need to find Madison, I said, before she disappears. Already on it. Dorothy was on her phone again. My daughter's husband is a detective. I'm sending him everything. A car pulled up. Expensive, black. A man in a suit got out. He walked straight to us. Mrs. Rodriguez? Yes? I'm Detective Morrison. I got a very interesting call from your attorney about an hour ago. He looked at Linda. Something about identity theft and potential murder? Linda handed him her phone. Watch this. He did. His expression got darker with every second. When it finished, he looked at me. Where's Madison Rodriguez now? We don't know. She left about an hour ago. Right after she tried to kill your son with carbon monoxide. You know about that? I responded to a similar call 2 years ago. Different city. Woman's husband died of accidental carbon monoxide poisoning. He pulled out his own phone. Started making calls. Except it wasn't accidental. And the woman's name was Madison Walker. Everything clicked into place. She's done this before. 3 times that we know of. We've been tracking her for 18 months. But she's smart, covers her tracks, changes names. Moves to new cities. He was talking to someone on the phone now. Until now. This video, this evidence, this is what we needed. He walked away, still talking. Linda closed her laptop. He's going to find her. What if he doesn't? Then we will. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something made me. Hello? You just couldn't leave it alone, could you? Madison's voice, cold, furious. You had to go digging, had to ruin everything. You tried to kill my son. Your son was a means to an end, just like your husband, just like you were supposed to be. She laughed. You should have taken the apartment, should have walked away. Now you've made this messy. Where are you? Somewhere you'll never find me. With enough money to start over. Again. The police are looking for you. Let them look. I've been running from them for 5 years. I'm very good at disappearing. Not this time. We'll see. Her voice got quieter. Dangerous. You took everything from me. The house, the money, Daniel. You think you've won? I think you're going to prison. Maybe. Or maybe you'll have an accident. Houses catch fire, cars crash, old women fall downstairs. She paused. Sleep tight, mother. The line went dead. I looked at Linda. At Dorothy. At Detective Morrison on his phone. At my house, with its police tape and emergency vehicles, at the USB drive in my hand, my husband's final gift. His final protection. She's not going to stop, I said quietly. Then neither will we, Linda replied. Detective Morrison came back. We've got an APB out. Airports, train stations, border crossings. If she tries to leave the state, we'll get her. She's too smart for that. Probably. But we've frozen her accounts. All of them. Every credit card, every bank account connected to her or your son. He looked at me. She can't access any money. She's trapped. Desperate people do desperate things, which is why I'm putting an officer outside your house, and I need you to stay somewhere else tonight. Just in case. Dorothy stepped forward. She can stay with me. I'm not leaving my house. Mom, I turned. My son was back, being helped out of a police car by another officer, still pale, still weak, but standing. Please, just for tonight, she knows where you live. He was right. I hated it, but he was right. Okay, I said finally. One night. Detective Morrison nodded. Good, we'll have officers here. If she comes back, we'll be ready. We started gathering my things. Linda helped me pack a bag. Dorothy made calls, preparing her guest room. I stood in my bedroom one more time. The room Madison wanted to tear apart, turn into a closet. My husband died in this room. I wasn't going to let Madison destroy it. Ready? Linda asked from the doorway. Almost. I went to my husband's side of the bed, opened the drawer of his nightstand. And there, under old receipts and reading glasses, I found it. An envelope, my name on the front. In his handwriting, I opened it with shaking hands. One sentence. The key to everything is where we started. Where we started. I knew exactly what he meant. We need to make one more stop, I told Linda. Where? His parents' cabin. Where we spent our honeymoon. That's where he hid the real documents, the originals, everything Madison tried to destroy. Linda smiled. Then let's go get them. We walked out together. Behind us, my house sat waiting. Ahead of us, a 2-hour drive to the mountains. And somewhere out there, Madison was running. But she'd made one mistake. She'd underestimated a woman with nothing left to lose and everything to fight for.